The UK is facing its largest millionaire exodus ever. Due to the non-dom program closing, there are expected to be 500,000 millionaires leaving the UK as a result. What does this mean for you, for them? Let's discuss the short, medium, and long-term impacts and how they will affect you. Hi, this is Jeremy from Millionaire Migrant. I left the UK in my 20s. I was always very curious about the world. I launched my first business overseas, and that business is now one of the world's best-known investment migration firms. But I'm still exploring because the world is changing very fast. And so in my channel, I discuss everything to do with investments, immigration, asset protection, and more. So to give you some background, non-doms means non-domiciles. That means these are persons that are coming to the UK and establishing there as a fixed period of time that their residence is there, but it's not going to be their permanent residence. They just want to show that they will be there to the UK government. The UK government would then not tax its revenue outside of the UK. They only tax them on the revenue generated within the UK. This attracted a lot of high net worth people, millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires. Think about Abramovich buying Chelsea. What happens is that when you attract this wealth, which by the way, every country in the world is desperate to attract wealth. These people come, they settle, they put their kids into schools, so schools benefit. They buy houses, real estate brokers benefit. They'll start businesses. The economy, the wider economy will benefit from this. But the previous government, doing too little, too late, decided to abolish this. And the new government, being Labour, has really red-stamped the whole process. This means that a lot of these people, a large amount, are going to be exiting. How many people? Well, let me tell you. They had already started when they knew that it looked like Labour were going to be coming in. But to give you the escalation numbers, 1,600 in 2022, 4,200 in 2023, 9,500 in 2024. So imagine how many is going to be next year. That's how you're going to get to the number of 500,000 leaving within the next few years. Why did they cancel it? Well, no one really knows why, because ultimately the UK government, the Conservative government, were already on their way out by then. It was a little, as I mentioned, too little, too late. Labour came in and they were probably going to do it anyway. A lot of economists are saying this is going to cost the UK economy £140 billion in lost revenues. They're saying that the London economy is going to shrink by £30 billion. Don't forget that prior to this, with Brexit, a lot of the financial institutions and the whole ecosystem around that had already been moving out anyway to Paris, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam. So this is just compounding two things. First of all, the exodus of capital and talent, but it's also projecting an image over to the rest of the world, which is basically the UK is not what it once was. And they're already picking up on this. It's a sad thing to see as an Englishman, for sure. This is going to result in wider job losses and economic damage, which is projected to reach £300 billion within the next 10 years. So, but guess what? Those millionaires who are leaving and all of this impact, where the UK is going to lose is going to be somebody else's win. So why are they leaving? Where are they going? This is what we want to talk about today. The income tax was already in the UK was 45% over £125,000 in earning, with taxes on UK-sourced income even for non-residents. So rental income, pensions, savings, and so on. Crypto taxes was at the same, 45%. You also had VAT at 20%. You had high-end property. You'd have a threshold which would start around £325,000. Everything over and above would be taxed at 40%. Yes, there's ways to get around it. You can start bequeathing it to people over a period of time, and it would diminish before you hand it over, before the property was inherited. Yes, and you know there are other ways to kind of mitigate this, but ultimately it's tax when you're alive, tax when you're dead, tax on the money that you spend, tax on the money that you make. I mean, it's just getting a lot for a lot of people. But what really has compounded this, apart from all this financial news, is crime. The data on crime is really bad, and it's been getting bad for a long time. By the way, in the UK, guns are prohibited, so it's given that you don't have to worry about guns, the crime is still bad and it's still getting worse. It tells you a lot. Crime has gone up from 62 recorded criminal events per 1,000 people in 2013, 2014 to 93.6. So it's up 50% in the last decade. Over 2 million violent and sexual offenses recorded in 2022. People are also dissatisfied with government and over-regulation. This is not uncommon in these kind of tier one countries, your US, your Canada, your Australia, and so on. Then you have living costs and inflation. Now, to put that in perspective, I would say that that's happening everywhere. There's a lot of low-cost countries which are also facing the same challenges. You've got it in Colombia, you've got it in Portugal, you've got it in the UAE. So it's pretty much everywhere. But it's just, again, just the cherry on the cake. But before we look at the economic and social consequences, what we want you to understand is to get more into detail, get more granular. Okay, so let's get into it right now. So you have, for those of you who are already in a non-dom, you've got a 2-year transition period. You've got special tax rates for foreign excluded income. But for those of you looking to come in, you've got a 4-year non-dom period now. So it's not as long as it used to be. 4 years isn't really a lot to attract someone to come in, put their roots down. It's insufficient, really. And I think it's just paper-based, just to try and say, oh, we've still got one. Inheritance is going to shift from domicile-based to resident-based. There's also the ending and the closing of the property trust, excluded property trusts. So now you're going to have inheritance tax on the assets that are in property trusts, which has always been a contentious issue. Look, real estate in the UK is largely considered a kind of a safety deposit box, a bit like money in a Swiss bank. You'd have bricks and mortar in the UK. But the more that you see this type of stuff affecting real estate as well, and the general gloomy outlook for the UK, unfortunately, this is just another bad move, in my opinion. And then lastly, they've just been talking about, I mean, as if it couldn't get any worse, an exit tax. So just when they panicked that all these people were going to leave, they thought, you know what, let's just try and close the door shut and try and tax them on the way out as well. Now, I get that they're saying that other countries have similar programs, US, Canada, and so on. And I understand that some European countries too. But at the same time, if you're going to introduce all these measures, maybe you would like to keep something like this for later, because ultimately people might still want to come to the UK. But if they can see that you will also get them on the way out as well, it's hard enough trying to get them to come in without also trying to stop them going out. The impact of this economically and socially is going to be very hard felt. It's sad to say. So let's see how this is going to play out in the next few years. So what's going to happen is millionaires are going to leave. Guess what? They can go to many other countries. And you know where they're going to go. They're going to go to Greece and Italy. They've got the lump sum programs. They're going to go to your Monacos, the UAEs. All of these countries are going to benefit. There'll be others as well, depending if they want to go further afield. Let's say your Paraguays, your Panamas, Vanuatu, if they really want a big change of scenery. But what's going to happen is that those figures, which basically they tell you, oh, we're going to get all this money, never happens. That's why Brexit happened. Yeah, we're going to get all those EU subsidies. All that money is going to come here. No, the opposite happens. Property market is going to decline. Education, all those schools that are getting all these jobs, that because of all these high net worth people who send their kids to the UK, it's a very well known destination for people to send their kids. They're now charging VAT on this. They didn't get an exclusion as a charitable exclusion for the schools. So that's also going to affect the schooling and all the jobs that come with that. That, as I mentioned, it's not about the teachers in the schools, it's the entire ecosystem. It's going to be the partners of the teachers in the schools. It's going to be the cleaners in the schools. It's going to have a lot of impact. Innovation and job creation. Anything that you need to build and scale from an entrepreneurial perspective requires capital. So what's going to happen is that all those people who have the capital, whether corporate, but also personal, those people are going to say, I don't really see the UK as the place to go. Why don't I go and look at another part of the world that will attract me? This is what Portugal did with the NHR program and the Golden Visa. They said, come here, just put roots down here. We're not going to tax you on the revenue that you make and your earnings overseas. But what they did is they calculated that those high net worth people will come there. And there are loads of them over there. There are thousands of millionaires who've been moving to Portugal the last half decade. And they're slowly investing in the community. I actually went to Portugal myself and ended up investing in more things than I would have if I'd never been to Portugal. The social and cultural impact as well is that there's a lot of philanthropy is unfortunately going to be missing, a lot of job creation. Unfortunately, it's not going to look good. Tourism and luxury goods, not so much. I mean, people will still go there on holiday, but the crime thing is really going to affect a lot of people. And by the way, when there is a lack of income, whether it's from private individuals or for companies or anything, if the economy worsens, the fabric of society will also worsen. And this at some point will also reach tourists. Let's look at some of the countries that used to get lots of tourists and get less now. You'll see that the same will happen in the UK. Where they're going to go, as I mentioned, a few countries, we can help you. We've been doing it. I've actually done it myself on more than one occasion. We help people to move to various overseas countries. Portugal is one of them. We've done some Mbappe law or Ronaldo law previously before that as well. Sorry, the Beckham law. We've done the UAE golden visa, obviously, for a lot of people and help them to get tax residency. But whatever you require, let us know. But it's a sad day, unfortunately, for the UK. I would, if it's not too late, start getting your boots on, start looking at different options. I really hope that some of this can be fixed and they will change their mind. But if there's one thing for sure, I think from what I can see, definitely in the traffic in the UK and the data that is coming out in terms of home buyers and home renters, it looks like the exodus has already started. Sad times, but UK will not be the only country making bad decisions. There'll be more in the future, definitely in Europe. So reach out to us if you need our support. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the other side.